Now, you guys are all performing in the Vancouver International Improv Festival next week.
That's correct.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes.
Why do you guys do live improv? Shane, let's start with you.
I do it for the fun, to be quite honest. It's like a blast to be creating stuff with your friends in front of an audience, especially if they like it, then it's really fun. If they don't like it, it's less fun.
What is one of the biggest things that you've learned from doing live improv?
How to listen and build on other people's ideas and create something funny with a group mind as opposed to just your own.
Ese, why do you do live improv?
I do live improv because I love creating characters that you don't see on a regular basis, at least for me, to challenge myself to have my inner voice have a time to be themselves.
And why is that important, do you think?
Because normally, for myself, I don't express myself too much. I'm very like do in my head. But with improv, I'm allowed to just be as crazy, be as wild, be as quiet, to be as eclectic as I want to be.
It's like playing as a child.
Exactly, like make believe to like the 10th degree. Yeah.
And what was it that drew you into improv when you were learning?
What drew me in was just seeing different characters and knowing that like the little jokes you would tell yourself in your bedroom, like that's funny. Let's see if I can put that on stage, and you can. And that's what drew me in, just the fact that you can play and have an excuse to be silly and be wild.
If you were to try to attract someone that's never been to live improv before, how would you do that?
I would just be like, you want to see something crazy that's made up on the spot? And they'd be like, yeah, of course. And then I would just entice them by just knowing that people make funny things based on who they are. And there's no scripts, there's no books, there's no like months and months of like, comedy studying, even though there is, but it's just making things up and everything is 100% correct.
The team has to be pretty tight for you to be able to do, like, do you feel like the more you know somebody, the more you can play with them?
Absolutely, because then you know their rhyme and their reason, and they know yours, and it's just like Shane said, hive minding and just connecting as friends, as teams, and you can push each other and hold each other and support each other and just go crazy, and knowing that you have somebody who knows your rhyme and your rhythm, and they can push you to your fullest. So that's awesome.
Now, Kerri, what drew you to doing live improv?
The excitement around it, the fear, the idea of getting to perform comedy. Comedy was always something that I had loved and grew up watching and admiring. The people that I admired had done what I didn't realize at the time was improv. And then when I discovered it, I realized that this was everything. And the idea that you can make something up on the spot, and you weren't alone, you got to share it with people, and you could create these amazing things that you never could have imagined. And then just like that, they're gone. And everything about that was just so intoxicating.
And what age were you when you first started?
Technically, I was in junior high. And I did a bilingual version of it because I went to French immersion. So we had to perform it in French. And if you think improv is hard in your native tongue, doing it in a language that you're already struggling with was such an interesting dynamic. So I'd say I was probably about 13, 14. But then I really got into it in my late 20s.
And where do you see, like, do you think it'll always be part of you?
100%. Everything I do is impacted and affected by me having done and continue to do improv. Because then you start to realize in such a grand way that every interaction and every aspect of your own life is like improv, where you're just making it up as you go and you're just kind of using the skills and actively listening and deciphering and trusting that if you commit and you focus and you do your best, that something amazing will come from it. Or at least, even if you fail, it'll be something that you can learn from and grow from, and it's pretty great. I feel like I'm on a pageant right now.
No.
And that everything's possible and the world is great.
Well, you mentioned failure.
Yes.
How important is it to learn how to fail?
It's huge. I'd say I learned the most in my failures on stage and off. There's that life parallel. But yeah, you learn so much when you struggle and you make those mistakes, because that's where you start to realize where things come together and you go, oh, that's why we do that. Or you know, if every scene or every aspect of your life went well, you would never really walk away with anything. You would just continue to do the same thing. But in those failures, you really have to push through and figure out what went wrong, what went right, and then grow. So it's actually a gift in disguise, and that's why improv is so great, because it teaches you to run head on to that failure instead of trying to avoid it. And yeah.
Awesome. Shane.
Hi.
Hi. I had a great question in my head, and it completely...
Is it because I said hi?
You did. You threw me off. Oh my God, he's talking to me. No, I was going to ask you guys the biggest personal growth you've experienced in your life. Mm-hmm. Would you say you benefited from doing live improv, like something that you've went through?
100%. Everything I've gone through since. I've benefited, and I can't even remember what life was really like before it. It's been such a big part ever since, and yeah, it's, like Kerri said, it informs everything that you do, and you see it everywhere, day to day. It's just it's everywhere. Yeah.
Ese, what about you? Like what's a real? Did you learn something?
Oh,
about
absolutely. With improv, because of failure, I've learned to accept failure, and then also know that your ego has no place with improv, because again, it's not just you, it's us, it's the team. So improv has taught me personally to realize that like it's forced me not to be selfish in a weird way, in a good way actually. It's not even weird, that you have to give in with your group, you have to play with, you have to open up, because a good show, even if you do fail, you're failing together, and it's not just like me and my ego and what I think it's good, it's what we think it's good, you know. So I think improv has really forced me to put my ego to the side and play together, which I love, because it is scary walking into improv because you're by yourself, because you're starting by yourself, but it's a family, it's a group activity that really allows you to come together and come as you are, kind of thing.
Awesome. Kerri, personal growth, was there something you could share with us that you learned from?
Ooh, huge growth. Learning how to speak in front of people, you know, being shy, it got me out of my shell and said that it showed me that I could do it. And also learning how to play well with others and trusting that you might not always have the best idea, and being open to collaboration makes you even stronger. It makes everyone else even stronger. You know, the expression that you're on stage to make others look good. You know, it kind of shifts focus away from you and yourself, and that was a big part of it too. Is like fear can often feel like it's just you out there, just like, you know, you're worried about your own failure, how people will perceive you. But if you shift that focus, it's this hugely liberating thing, and then what comes out of it is this amazing, you know, collaborative art that just like frees everyone and makes everyone happy.
I'll ask each of you the same question. Kerri, I'll start with you. Your show coming up next week.
Yes.
What do you hope everybody gets out of seeing the show?
I hope they laugh. I really need the laughter. It needs to validate me. Beyond that, I hope they are surprised. I hope they have an experience that translates to connecting with everyone in the room together, where we make this thing on the spot and everybody's engaged with it and gets to see this thing that they'll never see again and they'll never have seen had they not shown up for it. I think a lot of times we can all feel very isolated, so coming together like that and sharing something that's so visceral like this is such a gift, and that connection and inspiration, I hope, comes through. And also laughter. I need it.
Shane?
I hope that they like it so much that they come back and watch us again, because, you know, we're performing every week, and it's nice when people show up. So, yeah, I hope they like it, they have a good time, and they tell their friends.
Awesome.
I hope they enjoy it. I hope they tell their friends. I hope they do and see improv outside this festival. And I hope they just, and I hope it entices them to take a class, to get involved, to be like, hey, I can do that. It's not that hard. And look online, go online, and just like start learning. Yeah.